Alrighty, so the two Friday game to kick off match week number 24 is in the books, and in terms of these two games, we saw one game that was relatively one-sided, and then we saw the other game that was relatively close up until the last 15 minutes of the game where the losing team was trying to chase to get the equalizer, but ultimately the away team was able to get the 3 points. And let us actually start with talk about the game that was relatively one-sided, which is Atlanta United and Orlando City. And, coming into this game, I had a feeling Atlanta was probably going to win this, knowing the fact that they have been red hot lately. And yes, they did recently lose to Nashville SC, but I thought that was kind of a bit of an outlier and that they should be able to be in favor in this game playing in front of their home fans against Orlando City. Well, not only the fact that they got the victory in this, but they absolutely run Orlando City out the park in this game. I mean, you know that meme that talk about how Atlanta United is always the father of Orlando City? Yeah. This game basically showed that Atlanta United was indeed the father of Orlando City, because from minute 1 to 90, Atlanta United completely dominate this game, and there was really not many time in this game you thought Orlando City was probably going to come back into this game, and that just does not happen very often, especially this season in MLS, where it's not very often you see a team just play another team out of the park, and especially in a rivalry game like this. This probably might be one of the most one-sided rivalry game I've seen so far this season. Now, in the first half, Araujo was almost able to give Atlanta a 1-0 lead, but he smacked the post from long range there, and he was actually trying to do a curler. And also, I'm trying my best to learn how to pronounce his name. It's actually really difficult to do it. Like, every time I just try to tell myself it's not Araujo, because he's Brazilian and you have to pronounce it in the Portuguese way, I always kind of just screw up. So it's going to take time for me to continue to practice in terms of pronouncing it. But for now, if I pronounce his name completely wrong, I do apologize. I will definitely get better of it. But one name that I will not mess up is Greenwis, who was able to deny Risotto in the 8th minute. And you can definitely see Atlanta was on the front foot early. Araujo then missed wide from 17 yards out in the 11th minute before Benji Michel did have Orlando's first real opportunity, but missed just high. And that was kind of maybe one of the best opportunities that Orlando City has had, and kind of one of the closest chance that Orlando City has had in this game, because just 4 minutes later, Atlanta basically capitalized on their dominance in this early part of this game, as George Campbell, who started in this game, I believe this is his first start in MLS, he get himself his first MLS career goal here from Marcelino Moreno. What a ball this was from Moreno, and Campbell was just in the right place, right time to hit that one away. And Atlanta was off to a great start with a 1-0 lead. And there was then a shot for a penalty in the 36th minute from the Atlanta faithful, but it looked like this was actually just going to be a free kick, because it looks like Antonio Carlos brought down Marcelino Moreno outside the box. And, Marcelino Moreno, as an attacker, when you're about to be fouled near the 18-yard box, you're going to try to maybe throw yourself into the 18-yard box and hope to draw a penalty there. But on the replay, it was pretty clear that Carlos brought down Moreno just outside the box. But it didn't really matter that Atlanta United were not going to get a penalty and get a chance to score the second goal, because on the very same sequence on the free kick, Atlanta did score. And it turns out at the end of the day, they award DK as the own goal. Originally, they awarded Barco as the guy that, of course, scores the goal on the free kick, although, he didn't really kind of just hit this one on goal. He was kind of more trying to hope that there might be kind of a wicked deflection through the traffic, and there was. It came off of two Orlando City players, and DK, of course, was the last one to touch that. Although I will also say that I thought Barco's free kick attempt, it was kind of on target, and when a free kick is on target, and even if it hits off of one of the defender, or in this case, the attacker that is Daryl DK, I would have thought that maybe you should still give the goal to the attacker, as long as the goal, of course, was on target. But apparently the scorer didn't think so. They think DK, of course, was the one that, of course, caused that one to redirect toward goal, even though, as I said, it was on. That one looked like it was on target, but Atlanta wouldn't care because they were up 2-0 at that point, and that would be the scoreline heading into the second half. Now, in the second half, Barco did try to maybe get himself on the score sheet as he took a long-range effort that is deflected wide. But I thought early on, Atlanta picked up where they left off, which is they just completely dominate this game. Moreno then drives a free kick that goes wide in the 56th minute before Barco just curls one wide from 17 yards out. And then just 2 minutes later, Moreno puts it wide from 16 yards out. And they even show on the stats on FS1, the shots was 13-3 in favor of Atlanta. Like, that just basically show the dominance that Atlanta has in terms of the opportunity. But despite that, the shots on goal was only 2-0 in favor of Atlanta United. So, this also goes to the point where I say that as much as, yes, Atlanta is kind of dominating this game and they definitely dominate the shot stats, the fact that it's only 2-0 in terms of shots on goal maybe is a little bit concerning if you're an Atlanta fan. But then you just realize that the scoreline is 2-0, and that I think maybe if this game was at 0-0, and if the shots was 13-3 in favor of Atlanta, but only 2-0 in terms of shots on goal, then I think Atlanta fans will be a little bit worried because, maybe Orlando can get themselves back in this game with the way that this one could have been at 0-0, but, with this, they were already up 2-0, and the 2 shots on goal that they had was actually in the back of the net. Now, in the 61st minute, just as when that graphics basically said that now Orlando didn't have a shot on goal in that game, well, Andre Pereira basically had something to say as he actually hits the first shot on goal for Orlando, but that one was straight to Guzan. But in the 71st minute, and really also I thought in this game, every time when Orlando thought that maybe they had a chance to get back into this game, Atlanta basically scored and basically silenced that opportunity. And in this case, it's Barco, who of course was unlucky to not get that goal early in the first half. He would get his goal from Brooks Lennon to make it 3-0 in favor of Atlanta. Van der Water then puts it wide from 20 yards out before Grinwis had to make a couple of saves in the dying minutes of this game, first denying Lennon a chance to make it 4-0, and then denying Bello, who actually was going through on goal, and George Bello, he's definitely going to be thinking about that one. I mean, I know he'll be happy that his team was able to win, but God, he will be definitely thinking about the fact that he could have got himself on the score sheet here because this was a big opportunity for him. But credit to Adam Grinwis, he made himself as big as possible to deny Bello, who was through on goal. But nevertheless, Atlanta absolutely dominate this game from start to finish, and well they deserve winning 3-0 against Orlando City. As the shots in this game, 18 shots compared to 8 that Orlando City has, 5 shots on goal compared to 2 that Orlando City has, 8 shots off target compared to 5 that Orlando City has, 5 shots that was blocked compared to 1 that Orlando City has in possession-wise, 55% possession compared to 45% possession that Orlando City has in this game. And you know how on Tuesday when I made that video talking about teams that I think most likely is going to make the playoffs despite being below the red line, and you know why I put Atlanta United at the top of the list? This is the reason why. I mean, this is just, at times I thought this looked like the Atlanta United of the O, and I kind of mentioned how, with Gonzalo Pineda, yes, he did suffer his first loss in his coaching debut for Atlanta United and in MLS, but I thought he was going to get more times to kind of implement his tactics to the team, and when you look at this game, he absolutely got the tactics not only spot on, but also if this is the Atlanta United that we're going to see for the rest of the season under Gonzalo Pineda, yeah, this is going to be more than just a team that's going to just squeak into the playoffs. I mean, this team can really get themselves high up the table and almost making kind of like a Seattle Sounder-esque kind of second half resurgence that we seen before. But for Orlando City, yeah, well, yes, I think Orlando City fans might not be worried about this team just yet because of the fact that, yes, even though they suffered a loss against their most hated rival, it's only their first loss in quite a while. But then when you realize that these next couple of games that Orlando City has to play, which, some of these games that they have to play is against some of the best team in the Eastern Conference, such as Nashville and New England, yeah, there could be maybe some concern if you're an Orlando City fans where, yeah, things are going to be rough for them. They need to definitely look better than what they did in this game because they would just pretty much completely play out of the park. And you could even say that this equally, alongside with that 5-0 loss that they had against NYCFC a couple weeks ago, was the worst performance that they had this season. Probably equally the worst performance that Oscar Pereira Orlando City side has looked during these last 2 years. But now moving on, in terms of a match that I talked about earlier that was a little bit more closer and wasn't as one-sided as what we saw in the first game. And that, of course, is the Vancouver Whitecaps versus the Portland Timbers. And unfortunately for the Whitecaps, yeah, after they're able to now get the longest unbeaten run in MLS after the Quakes, of course, had their 10-game unbeaten run come to an end, well, the Whitecaps basically suffered the same fate. They had their 10-game unbeaten run come to an end at home in the hands of the Portland Timbers, and also by the same scoreline too. 1-0 was the final score of this game. But early on in the first half, and 5 minutes in, Timbers had a big opportunity to score the opening goal as Felipe Mora. You got to say he should have scored this one. I mean, he missed an absolute sitter from 7 yards out, and with the way how hot Mora has been for this Timbers team, you expect 9 out of 10 times that he actually buried that one into the back of the net. But this one, uncharacteristically, he puts it over the bar. But I thought the Timbers had all the possession early in this game, and that was kind of the big question, with both of these teams being a team that don't really like to take control of the game and don't like to just have all the possession. Who exactly is going to be the one that have to take all the possession? And it seems like the Timbers were that team, as the Whitecaps was trying to drop their lines and maybe trying to counter this Timbers team, which, their back line, even though it has gotten a little bit better recently, is still very, very vulnerable. In the 17th minute, Godor did hit it wide from a free kick, and I thought early on chances was kind of few between both of these teams, as neither of these teams was really looking very good in the final third, although that kind of would change as in the 24th minute, Spria would actually hit one straight to Crepeau before goal did put a weak shot straight to Clark in the 37th minute, and then Jimmy Chara blast one over from 19 yards out, and both teams all of a sudden started to get some half chances, but we do head to halftime scoreless between both of these Cascadia team. Now, in the second half, Vancouver, I thought, was actually on the front foot early in this game. There was actually a big shout for a penalty in the 50th minute, as Brian White thought that he was clearly brought down by Van Reken. Now, I think the reason why this was actually not called a penalty isn't just because of the fact that, I thought maybe you could say that is kind of like borderline with Van Reken, kind of just put a little bit of a body charge on White. But I think the biggest reason why this probably wasn't a penalty was that cross that was coming into the box, yeah, it was way over for Cook. And maybe if that cross was a little bit more closer to target, maybe the referee could be thinking about pointing to the spot. But that being said, just 1 minute later, there was another shout for a penalty from the Vancouver faithful, but this time it was not given. And this time I think it was Caicedo, the one that thought that he drawed a penalty for the Whitecaps, but on the replay, yeah, it was pretty clear that he basically embellished that play, and he's probably hoping that he's not going to get a call from Disco on Monday about simulation and a fine that he received, because yeah, referees are never going to felt for that if you try to embellish that. And it's not like he actually embellished that well. Like, it looked like it was pretty obvious that he dived there in the box. And again, when you do something that obvious, you better hope you're not going to hear from the MLS Disco on Monday that you're going to get fined because of embellishment. Now, in the 54th minute, Bravo launched a long-range effort that just goes wide on the left side of the post. I mean, it did not miss by much. I mean, it probably maybe was a yard or two from hitting the post. Before 1 minute later, Aspria also had a long-range effort that also ends up around very close to that left side of the post, but it went wide. Before Blanco hits one straight to Crepeau in the 63rd minute, and all of a sudden the Timbers looked like they were threatening to get the opening goal, and they eventually would do so in the 65th minute, as it's actually an own goal that Veselinovic that scored that would turns out to be the winning goal of this game. Although again, just like what I talked about earlier of the score given an own goal, this one I don't think it should have been given an own goal, but more should have been given a goal to Felipe Mora, because it definitely looked like that shot that he took, while it was in a difficult angle, was on target. And anytime when you have a player shooting one that is on target, and even if it's deflected off of a defender, you would think that still should count as a goal that is given to the attacker. But nevertheless, the Timbers, again, like what I said about Atlanta, they wouldn't care whether or not if that's a goal that Morris scored or Veselinovic unfortunately put it into his own net, because they were up 1-0 at this game. Now, that being said, after they were able to take a 1-0 lead, they kind of started to draw up their lines and were looking to try to hold on to this 1-0 lead, which, yeah, I didn't really like that decision by Savarese to kind of decide to let his team just to drop their lines and trying to hold on to this fragile 1-0 lead, because we know something about the Timbers where, I know this year they've been getting better in terms of closing down game, but there's always a sense that, when you're just going to hold on to a 1-0 lead, especially against this very dangerous Whitecaps team, yeah, you better hope that you're able to do so, because the Whitecaps for the last 20 minutes of this game, they absolutely blitzed the Timbers and were putting them under heavy pressure. In the 77th minute, Caicedo shot from a long-range effort is clear off the line by Bravo, and Clark was beaten there. Like, if it wasn't for Claudio Bravo in the right place, right time to clear that one off the line, it would have been 1-1 at that point. Before Caicedo hits it wide from close range in the 83rd minute, the Whitecaps was clearly pushing for an equalizer. There was some Timbers flair happen in the 87th minute in the box before a corner was taken. Just a reminder that, even though this is not the main Cascadia derby, these are still two Cascadia teams that they do not like each other whatsoever. Before, in the 3rd minute of stoppage time, Clark was able to deny goal in the front post. And in the end, despite the fact that the Whitecaps were pretty much throwing the kitchen sink in front of the Timbers were able to hang on to win 1-0 in this game, which, as I said before, whenever the Timbers able to close out games, if this was last year, I guarantee you the Timbers will not be able to hold on to this 1-0 lead. And this is also kind of where I would say I give them credit with the way that they have started to change that from previous year, where they're able to finally find a way to close out game properly. But in terms of the shots of this game, 14 shots compared to 10 that the Timbers had. Both team had 3 shots on goal. Both team had 5 shots off target. 6 shots that was blocked compared to 2 that Portland has. And possession-wise, dead even at 50% for both of these teams. And with this win, the Timbers not only get themselves some breathing space in terms of staying above the red line, which is now a 4-point lead they had in terms of being above the red line, but also they have now got themselves up to 5th place in the Western Conference. But for the Vancouver Whitecaps, a huge missed opportunity. This one was to potentially go above the red line for the first time in a while. And, I didn't think they played well in this game, especially with the way that they were not as threatening in terms of set-piece opportunity. And they had a lot of set-piece opportunity in this game. Like, they actually had a lot of free kicks and a lot of corner, where I thought one of them eventually is going to put in, because we know the Whitecaps are the kings in terms of set piece this season, but none of them were able to be good enough. Although you got to also credit the Timbers, who, coming into this game, if you would have told me the Timbers would do well in terms of set pieces, you probably would have laughed at me, because that's been the biggest Achilles heel of this team, and was maybe the thing, if it wasn't for the post in terms of that last game against the Seattle Sounders, they would have definitely been killed because of set piece opportunity. So yeah, it's kind of weird that the fact that Timbers struggle on set piece opportunity, but they do well in this game against probably the most lethal full set piece attacking team that is the Vancouver Whitecaps. But that's what MLS is. Sometimes it's kind of a weird kind of league. But that being said, that is pretty much it in terms of looking at these 2 games that happened today. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of both of these games? And tomorrow we got 10 games that is going to happen, including one that is going to be happening on Sunday. And I have no idea how I'm going to basically do a review on all of those games. In fact, I'm actually going to be ground hopping tomorrow in the evening, so I'm gonna definitely gonna miss some of those evening action. And then of course Sunday I have to of course work the morning shift, so most likely I will have to once again do like an 11 game review on Sunday night and basically upload that video on Monday. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash that subscribe button, and like I said, let me know in the comments below what you think of both of these games. And yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.